Alright everybody, gather around. Our gracious overlords at Bungie have blessed us once again with a TWAB. So let's get right into it. Solstice of Heroes 2021. Starting next week, Grandma Ilva Lavanti will give us a shitty looking armor that we will turn into a glowy fancy thing, which is always great. We'll also be getting a new shotgun, which we don't know the archetype for or the perks that it can roll, so we actually don't know if it's going to be good for PvP or PvE or both or either. So we'll have to wait. There's also new ghosts, ships, sparrow, cosmetics, as always. It will be a fun time. Now, Fatebreakers, Vault of Glass Master Difficulty will become available to all players on July 6th. How do you enter? When signing in next Tuesday, Vault of Glass will offer a Master Difficulty option to launch for you and your fire team. While there's no minimum power requirement to enter, enemies will be at 1350 power. I can't find anything here that says that contest mode will be on. This might mean that this is the first real reason to grind your artifact power level above the minimum requirement for GMs. Because now, if you get above 1350, you'll be able to do this more efficiently. And trust me, the loot sounds great. We'll be getting time-lost weapons, which they say are comparable to adept weaponry from GMs and trials, but offer an additional perk in columns 3 and 4 for slightly more customization. So what I get from these is that they will be adept weapons with extra perks. This might make it easier for you to get the roll you want, which is always great. And then we will have timeless weapons rotating weekly, and once you get a timeless weapon, you can purchase one from the chest at the end of the raid. So we're getting an extra layer of target farming. Alright Bungie, I see what you're doing and I like. Now please note, weekly reward lockouts are shared between both normal and master difficulties of Vault of Glass. So basically, if you can do master, don't do normal, because you will waste your drops. That's basically it. And lastly, armor from the master difficulty of Vault of Glass will focus on specific stats, rotating weekly. Okay, this is great because now we will be able to farm a high stat rolls that come from raids targeted by stats. So if you were missing a piece, high recovery or intellect or whatever, you now have a way of rolling the dice specifically for that. Get ready for a fight. This won't be a walk in the park if you haven't dipped your toes into the Destiny 2 endgame before. Basically, blueberries, beware, get your power up, watch my guide on weapons to have for raids, watch the armor guide too, learn how armor works, get a good team, watch some guides, and farm that shit. Atheon will be seeing you next week. Good luck to all fire teams as they attempt their first master difficulty raid. Oh boy, you know I'll be grinding this shit hard. Shifting Sands mid-season sandbox update. Over the last few seasons, we've seen some pretty big changes to the Destiny 2 sandbox. Aggressive hand cannons jumped into the spotlight of PvP, rocket launchers became an awesome option for PvE content, DMT is basically aimbot in PvP, and much more. Alright, weapons feature lead Chris Proctor has once again agreed to lend us some time to the TWAB to explain all of this. So Chris says, I'd first like to set some expectations. Normally, we wouldn't make large changes in a mid-season patch, but with a handful of weapons sucking all the air out of the room, we decided to bring some changes originally planned for Season 15 into the next week's update. Alright, so they're bringing this update from Season 15 because basically DMT is too oppressive. So without further ado, the big ticket items for PvP are, no surprises, shotguns, 120 RPM, aggressive hand cannons, and DMT. Combined, these dominate all forms of PvP, particularly trials. We've also been getting large amounts of feedback about special weapon usage in the Crucible, and this will be the first step towards addressing these player concerns. And they can't forget about Sleeper Simulant in PvE too. Now they go on to talk about the intended special weapon roles in PvP. Most special weapons should have one situation where they're a dominant choice. If caught outside of this, you should be at a disadvantage. Moving towards these roles is a work in progress. Some weapons are not where we want them to be, and we've made some changes in Season of the Splicer that we expect to need more adjustment later on. Note that special ammo abundance in PvP distorts these roles, allowing play that wouldn't be possible otherwise, and is something we're looking to address. Here are the roles we intend each special weapon to fill. Sniper Rifle, engaging at long distance with aiming skill when not already under fire. Shotguns, engaging at point blank range using skill at movement or positioning to get close enough to get a 1 or 2 hit elimination. Fusion Rifles, engaging at mid-range but with careful positioning and pre-charging around cover required for success. Trace Rifles, strong at close to mid-range at the cost of not being a one-hit elimination, making it possible to be outplayed by skillful primary users. Grenade launchers. Useful for weakening an opponent, getting damage around corners with bounces, or getting a one-hit elimination with a direct impact, at the cost of projectile travel time and being in a bad place if you miss your shot with a single round magazine. Let's talk about some weapons. Here it comes. Shotguns are very dominant in PvP by any measure, and don't allow much counterplay with primary weapons, particularly close-range primaries like sidearms and SMGs. Yes, basically right now, if you're using a sidearm or an SMG, you are in Fellwinter's territory, so it's very hard to compete. We see frequent player feedback about their prevalence in PvP activities and how they make it difficult to use various weapon archetypes that otherwise feel good against players without shotguns. We want them to excel in a narrower niche than they do currently, so this change aims to retain the reliable one-hit elimination but at closer range, and push them to be slightly rangier than currently at getting two-hit eliminations. If a player is caught out of position with a shotgun, they should be at a clear disadvantage. With the ability to quickly follow up rising in importance, we expect faster firing shotguns to eat into aggressive shotgun dominance, and other special weapons to be more viable. So they're increasing the aggressive frame shotgun cone angle from 4 to 4.25 degrees. They're reducing the shotgun damage fall-off minimum by 2 meters and increasing the maximum by 2 meters too. They are not touching slug shotguns, so they might become more popular. We'll have to see. 120 RPM hand cannons. They are reducing the precision damage multiplier from 1.8 to 1.6, preventing a 10% damage bonus from allowing 2-tapping in PvP. Alright, so basically Rampage is not going to be as impactful as it is right now on a 120 RPM. They're also reducing the aim assist minimum fall-off distance by 1 or 2 meters depending on the range stat, and reduce damage minimum fall-off distance by 1 meter. This reduces the damage fall-off advantage over other hand cannons to 1 meter. So this is basically reducing the advantage 120s have over other archetypes of hand cannon. This should be interesting and maybe make 140s a bit more popular. They also have a few changes to perks. Drop mag can no longer roll on new drops of weapons. Will have functionality change later. There's a change coming next season that requires adjusting this, and some perks with similar functionality. More on that later. Alright, not sure what that means, but I guess we'll see. Pulse monitor. Fix an issue where the handling bonus was no longer applying. Rewind rounds. Fix an issue where the perk would not trigger if the last shot in the magazine missed, or if the player reloaded another weapon before firing the final shot. Yes, basically right now if you miss that last shot, it's like you don't have the perk. Reservoir burst. We've seen complaints that the detonation on kills doesn't feel that reliable or impactful, so this has been updated with the same consistency as speed as Dragonfly. Alright, so it's basically faster. 2 exotics will get some tuning. Alright, one going up and one going down. DMT is dominant on mouse and keyboard. Yes. Receives frequent critical feedback from players in the Crucible and is strong but not worryingly so on controller. We're keeping the fast firing in hip, which we believe is key to the feel of the weapon, but with this change it will no longer have ADS levels of damage fall-off while hip firing, and so will be subject to fall-off much closer. It will also require better aim to land hits while hip firing. We're deliberately only light touching ease of using this change with the goal of not making it harder to use on controller. Removed hip fire damage fall-off scalar, was 1.8x to match soon. Aim assist cone angle hip scalar reduced from 1.5 to 1.2. Alright, so basically if you hip fire you will have less aim assist and more damage fall-off. Great. Sleeper Simulant didn't receive any custom tuning when we updated linear fusion rifles, but because it has much higher body damage than other linear fusion rifles, it didn't benefit as much as intended from the global buff to precision damage scalar. Sleeper will now be the clear winner for single shot linear fusion rifle damage, edge out other linear fusion rifle for burst damage, and largely match others for total damage for reserves. Also note that Sleeper's penalty for hitting the body rather than the head is much lower, giving it an edge in real-world damage. Fix an issue where Sleeper Simulant was benefiting less than other linear fusion rifles from the season of the Splicer linear fusion rifle precision damage buff. Total buff is now 16.5% compared to the 15% buff other linear fusion rifles received. Alright guys, get your sleeper, it's gonna be meta, I'm almost sure. We'll have to see, but it's looking good. The near future, we have more changes than usual for season, coming in season 15. Some as follow-ups to the above, and others that were too large for mid-season. Here's a preview of some of the changes. Of course, also expect a new batch of weapons and perks. Alright, fusion rifles. We've been wanting to tackle subfamily differentiation for a while, so we're planning on a large rework of fusions, changes to mods and perks, and custom tuning to most exotic fusion. Is Vex a fusion? Let's say yes. Alright, so they're teasing a rework, buff, anything, please? Breach grenade launchers. With the above shotgun changes, we expect other special weapons to increase in usage, and believe that GLs have the potential to become more frustrating to play against as they become even slightly more common. So we're planning a small change that specifically touches priming and cleaning up targets. Scout rifles and hand cannons in PvE. Players have wanted these weapons to be a bit more efficient in PvE for some time. We've found that minor enemies in high-end content take too many shots to kill with these weapons. Machine guns in PvE. Through playtesting and player feedback, we've found they're not doing their intended job very well, so we're planning a noticeable change for season 15. Alright, machine guns getting a buff? Great. Special ammo economy, particularly in PvP. While the above changes to shotguns should help tone down aggressive frames a bit, we got a couple of small changes planned that should reduce the amount of special ammo floating around to a degree, and have further changes in mind in case they're needed. Anarchy.
Oh my god! Okay, it's happening! Everybody stay calm!
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
Oh god. Anarchy has done too much too well for too many years, without even counting the boost it's gotten this season, which is due to the sweet GL artifact mods. So we're making changes that make it great at a couple roles rather than being the jack of all GLs. The long-feared Anarchy nerf is upon us, guys. Exotic primaries. We want to give players more reason to use exotic primary weapons in high-end PvE content, and have changes coming to help with this. Alright, this sounds really exciting because yes, there is currently no reason to use an exotic primary right now, when you have so many very powerful specials and heavy weapons. And the more distant future, we'll keep a close eye on special weapons and we'll make adjustments once we see how they perform in the wild, particularly fusion rifles and GLs. We have an idea of what may need more adjustment as these changes shake out, but we'll wait to discuss them as our plans solidify. We also keep a close eye on feedback on exotic weapons and which weapons are under and overperforming. We have some tweaks planned next week, in season 15 and beyond, which should shake things up. Note that we especially look at Catalyst as a way to buff underused exotics, for example, Deathbringer and Trinity Gold, so expect similar reasoning moving forward. At the risk of being vague, we also have long-term plans to address the issues of exotic orb generation and kill trackers without making a catalyst for every exotic in the game. Alright, that's great, because some exotics don't even need a catalyst, Anarchy, but you can generate orbs. And you may want some trackers in PvP for your Thorn, which is great news. And that's basically it for the TWAB. They also go over to talk about bugs they're fixing, the update, and details of where the maintenance begins and ends. But that's basically it. So next week's lining up to be really interesting. We got a new raid mode, free event, new weapon, repriced weapons, time-lost weapons. Yeah, awesome. And don't forget the PvE and PvP changes. But that was the TWAB. Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. If you like this and want me to do more, just hit that like and subscribe. I'm Apollo and I'm out.